It was an ordinary Saturday morning when I received the text. The sun was barely up, and the weight of the day ahead felt like it might overwhelm me. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter as I poured myself a cup of coffee. It was a message. From my sister, Rachel. Hey, I'm dropping off Lily and Jack at your place for the next 2 months. I'm heading out on an urgent trip and need you to look after them. My heart stopped for a moment as I read the words again. Rachel, my older sister, always the one to act first and ask questions later, had just dropped a bombshell on me. We hadn't spoken much in recent weeks after our last heated argument. Yet, here she was, showing up unannounced, demanding that I take care of her kids as if they were nothing more than an afterthought. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't even been given the courtesy of a phone call. Instead, I was just expected to drop everything. I had a life, a job, and no idea what Rachel's sudden, urgent trip was about. The message continued, I'll be gone for a while, don't stress, I've already told the kids. You're the only one who can handle them. See you later. And, just like that, I felt the weight of the world pressing down on me. This wasn't just about babysitting, it felt like an invasion. I had made it clear to her before, my boundaries weren't negotiable. Yet here she was, as usual, forcing her way into my life. I immediately called her. It rang several times before going to voicemail. I clenched my jaw. Why the hell couldn't she just respect me? Growing up in a small town, it always felt like I was stuck in the shadows of my perfect, golden sister, Rachel. She was the one who could do no wrong, the one who always seemed to get everything handed to her. From the moment we were kids, she had the best clothes, the most friends, and the attention of everyone around her. Mom and Dad thought the world of her, and I was always just there. I was the quieter one, the less than perfect daughter who tried to stay out of the way. Rachel was stunning, tall, blonde, with flawless skin and a smile that could light up a room. I, on the other hand, had brown hair and dark eyes. While Rachel was always praised for her beauty, I was often told that I needed to dress better, wear more makeup, and do my hair like Rachel. Mom would compare us constantly. Why can't you just look like Rachel? Look how beautiful she is. Why can't you be more like her? It didn't help that Rachel loved to remind me of this in cruel ways, too. If I ever asked her for help, even the smallest thing like makeup tips or advice on how to style my clothes, she would either ignore me or laugh at me. She wasn't just the golden child, she was the bully. I was the awkward, unnoticed one, trapped in her shadow. It's funny how much that can shape someone. To this day, my self-esteem is a mess. I'm not bad looking, but I've always felt second-rate, like I'll never measure up to my sister. And now, as an adult, that feeling hasn't changed. It has only gotten worse. Rachel knew exactly how to push my buttons, and after years of having the world tell me I wasn't good enough, I finally snapped. I didn't know how to stand up for myself anymore. It was nearly an hour before Rachel called me back. Her voice sounded more distant than usual, as though she had already mentally checked out of this conversation. Hey, she said, the casual tone not matching the urgency of her message. I really need you to step up for the kids. You've always been the one who can handle things. I could feel my blood pressure rising. Step up for the kids? What did she mean by that? I could hardly handle my own life, let alone her chaotic existence. I can't believe you're doing this to me, Rachel, I said, trying to stay calm. You can't just drop them off without even asking me first. What kind of vacation is this? You don't even care to tell me why you're going? There was a long pause on the other end. I could hear Rachel sigh, the sound of her frustration mixing with the silence. I don't have time to explain everything right now, she replied, sounding impatient. But trust me, it's important. I'll be back in a couple of months, and I really need you to hold down the fort here. You're the only one who can handle it. Handle it. The words hit me like a slap to the face. It was always me who had to deal with everything. Rachel would go off, doing whatever she wanted, and I was always left to pick up the pieces. It had been like that my whole life. And now, she expected me to take on more responsibility. I felt my throat tighten. No. I couldn't do this. I couldn't go on being the responsible one while she skipped away without a care in the world. I had sacrificed so much for her already, and it was never enough. I'm not taking them, Rachel, I said, finally finding my voice. I can't. You need to figure this out. I'm not your fallback anymore. There was a sharp intake of breath, followed by the sound of her shifting on the other end. What? She demanded, her voice rising. You can't be serious. You're just going to leave me hanging? After everything I've done for you? You've done nothing for me. I shot back. The words came out before I could stop them. You've never been there for me. And now you're just treating me like some kind of free babysitter. I'm done, Rachel. Done. I slammed the phone down, my heart pounding in my chest. I felt like I had just committed a sin. The guilt gnawed at me, but there was also a small part of me that felt lighter. For the first time in forever, I had stood up for myself, but then the phone buzzed again, and I already knew it was her. I stared at the screen for a moment before answering. Her name flashed on the screen, and with a deep breath, I picked up. Rachel? I said, trying to sound calm. I don't want to argue with you. Her voice was much colder this time. I think you're misunderstanding the situation, Kate. If you don't help me with the kids, I'll make sure you lose your job. My heart dropped. What? Are you threatening me? She let out a short laugh, but there was no humor in it. If you want to keep your job, I suggest you reconsider. I have connections, Kate. And if you don't think I can make a few calls, think again. I froze, my mind reeling. How could she do this? For years, Rachel had manipulated me in small ways, but this felt like the final straw. Threatening my job, something I worked so hard for, was beyond anything I could have imagined. The betrayal stung more than I cared to admit. I can't believe you, I whispered, the words heavy in my throat. You would actually go this far to control me? Her voice was low now, almost cruel. You're the one who's making this harder than it needs to be. All I'm asking is that you help me out. I'm going on a trip, Kate. You know how important this is for me. I was silent for a moment, breathing through the rising anger. She always made it about herself. It was never about me or my feelings. It was never about my needs. It was always about Rachel getting what she wanted, and I was expected to drop everything for her. I don't care if you're going to some glamorous vacation or whatever it is, I snapped. You can't blackmail me into doing this. I'm not a child anymore, Rachel. You don't control me. Her silence was deafening for a second before she finally spoke again. Fine, she said, the words clipped. But don't say I didn't warn you. She hung up without another word. I sat there, staring at the phone, feeling a mix of frustration, anger, and fear. What had I just gotten myself into? The moment the call ended, I couldn't help but think back on all the times I'd let Rachel walk all over me. Growing up, I'd always been the one to clean up after her messes, literally and emotionally. Whether it was a broken promise, a forgotten responsibility, or a full-on meltdown, I was the one who was always expected to be there, to fix things, to make it better. It wasn't just when we were kids either. As we grew older, I found myself in the same position. Whether it was helping her move yet again or stepping in when she needed someone to cover her job because she was too busy partying, I was always the backup. But the worst part? She never once returned the favor. I couldn't even count the number of times I'd been left hanging. My graduation, my first job interview, even my birthday, Rachel had never been there. She would always make excuses about how she had something better to do or how I should understand that she was the older sibling, which meant I should handle things myself, and now this. Now, she had the nerve to blackmail me. My hands trembled as I stared at the phone, but deep down, I knew I couldn't let her control me any longer. I had worked too hard to let her drag me back into the toxic cycle. I had to find a way to break free, whether that meant standing up to her, leaving her behind, or whatever it took. I paced around my living room, running my fingers through my hair. The reality of the situation was sinking in. Rachel wouldn't just let this go. If I didn't step in and look after her kids, she'd make sure I paid the price. My career, my reputation, everything I'd worked for was on the line, but I didn't just want to be pushed into a corner. I didn't want to be the one who always buckled under pressure. I wanted to feel strong for once. I wanted to say no without feeling like a terrible person. I grabbed my phone again, intending to call her back. But I hesitated. If I called her now, I knew she'd just twist the conversation to make me feel guilty again. Instead, I needed time to think. I needed a plan. There had to be something I could do to protect myself and still stand my ground. I was done being the martyr. Rachel had pushed me to my breaking point, but maybe, just maybe, it was time to take control of my own life. I received another call. This time, it was from Maya, an old friend from college who had always been supportive and reliable. We hadn't spoken in months, but I needed someone to talk to, and Maya was the one person I knew who wouldn't judge me. Hey, it's been a while. Maya's voice rang out with warmth, a stark contrast to the coldness I'd just endured with Rachel. Maya, I don't know what to do. My sister is making my life hell. She just dropped her kids off here for the next 2 months. I didn't even know she was coming, and now she's threatening me if I don't agree to look after them. Wait, what? Maya sounded incredulous. She what? What kind of person does that? She does, I said, my voice thick with emotion. She's always done this. I'm always expected to drop everything for her, but she never does the same for me. That's messed up, Maya said, her voice full of sympathy. Listen, you don't have to do this alone. You need to take a stand, Kate. You've worked too hard to let her drag you back into this toxic mess. I let out a shaky breath, feeling a wave of relief wash over me at the thought of someone actually understanding. But if I don't do it, she'll ruin my career. She's already threatening to have me fired from my job. What if I lose everything? Maya was quiet for a moment before responding. If she's really going to go that far, that's on her, not you. You need to think about yourself for once, Kate. You've been there for her your whole life, and look where it's gotten you, nowhere. If she's going to do this, let her, but don't let her take you down with her. You've built a life for yourself, and you don't have to sacrifice that for her. Her words hit me like a ton of bricks. I hadn't even realized how much I had been sacrificing for Rachel, how much I had put my own dreams on hold for her. But this wasn't just about my job, it was about my happiness, my peace of mind. Thanks, Maya, I said, feeling a little stronger. You're right. I can't let her win. I've spent my whole life walking on eggshells for her. I can't do it anymore. Maya let out a relieved laugh. I knew you'd figure it out. Just take it one step at a time, okay? You don't have to have all the answers right now. But I'm here for you, always. Thanks, I whispered, feeling a sense of gratitude for the first time in days. The next morning, I woke up to a text from Rachel. My stomach turned as I read the words. I've contacted HR. They'll be looking into your job situation. Hope you're ready to lose everything. I sat up in bed, my hands shaking as I read the message. This wasn't just a threat. It was real. Rachel had already started her campaign to destroy me. I felt my chest tighten as panic set in. What was I going to do? How could I fight back against her when she had this kind of leverage over me? But then, a thought hit me. I had to play this carefully. I couldn't let her break me. The text from Rachel haunted me throughout the day. I couldn't focus at work, my thoughts constantly drifting back to her threats. She was really trying to ruin my life. No, scratch that, she already had been for years. But now, it felt more real. The weight of it was heavier. I couldn't just ignore it anymore. By the time I finished my workday, the thought of calling Rachel was almost unbearable, but I knew I had to. She had pushed me too far this time, and if I didn't do something, she'd keep running over me with her manipulations. I dialed her number, and it rang once, twice. On the third ring, she picked up. Hello? Her voice was cold, detached, like she was daring me to challenge her. Rachel, I started, my voice tight with restraint. What the hell is wrong with you? You can't just threaten my job like that. Do you even realize how serious this is? She sighed heavily, like I was the one causing the problem. Oh, Kate, I'm not trying to ruin your life. I'm just asking for your help, and you're making it into something it's not. I told you, it's for the family. The family? I repeated, almost laughing at the irony. If this is what family means to you, then you're right, I don't want any part of it. You can't just drop your kids off at my house and expect me to play along, and then threaten me when I say no. There was a long pause on the other end, and when she spoke again, her voice had changed. It was colder, sharper, almost vindictive. You're being selfish, Kate. You've always been selfish. You always think everything revolves around you, don't you? I've done everything for you, looked out for you when no one else would. And this is how you repay me. I could feel my blood boiling, my anger bubbling up as her words hit their mark. You've never looked out for me, Rachel. You've always made it about you. And I've had enough of it. I'm done being your backup, your doormat. I don't owe you anything. Her laugh was mocking. Fine. Be that way. But don't come crying to me when everything falls apart. You think you can handle this without me? Think again, Kate. The call ended abruptly. I stood there, staring at my phone for what felt like forever. The house was eerily quiet. The silence made the weight of the situation hit me harder. Was I really ready to stand up to her? Rachel had always been the center of our family, the one everyone gravitated toward. And I was always the one who just existed in the background. But now, as I stood there, facing the consequences of her manipulations, I felt something in me shift. I wasn't going to let her win this time. She couldn't control me anymore, but fear lingered, lurking just beneath the surface. The reality of what I had just done, cutting ties with Rachel, rejecting her manipulations, felt like a betrayal. Could I really follow through with this? Could I keep pushing her away? The next day, I met Maya for coffee after work. I needed someone to talk to, and Maya was always the one person who didn't judge me for my family's dysfunction. She always listened, always understood. We sat down in a small cafe, the scent of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. Maya looked at me with concern as soon as I sat down, her eyes scanning my face. You look like you've been through hell, she said gently. Talk to me. I sighed, feeling the weight of everything crash down on me. I don't know what to do anymore, Maya. She's gone too far this time. Threatening my job, my livelihood. I don't know how much more of this I can take. Maya's expression softened, and she reached across the table, placing a hand on mine. You've been strong for so long, Kate. But now it's time to be strong for yourself. You can't let her get away with this. And you don't have to do it alone. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I feel like I'm about to lose everything, Maya. But I can't just let her do this to me anymore. You're not alone, Maya reassured me. I'm here. We'll figure this out together. I smiled, grateful for her support, even though I knew the road ahead would be long and difficult. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I might just be able to take on the world. As the days went by, I began to formulate a plan. I couldn't just let Rachel push me around anymore. I wasn't going to take her threats lying down. I had to fight back. The first step was to secure my job. I couldn't risk losing everything just because of her. I reached out to a lawyer, someone who specialized in workplace threats and harassment. I needed legal advice, something to protect myself from whatever Rachel was planning. The second step was to make sure I wasn't isolated. Maya had been an incredible help, but I knew I needed more support. I contacted a few old friends, people I hadn't spoken to in years, but who had always been there for me when I needed them. I needed a network, something to fall back on when things got really ugly. I also started to document everything. Every phone call, every message, every threat Rachel had made. I was going to make sure I had proof if it ever came down to it. This wasn't just about protecting my job anymore, it was about protecting myself. But as the days passed, Rachel seemed to sense the shift in me. She started getting more aggressive, sending messages late at night, trying to guilt-trip me into backing down. But I didn't give in. I had made up my mind. One evening, just as I was getting ready to wind down for the night, I received a text from my mom. It was short and direct. We need to talk. I'm coming over. My stomach dropped. What could this be about? When Mom arrived, I could immediately tell something was different. There was a tension in the air, a heaviness that had never been there before. She sat down on the couch and looked at me with those familiar eyes, the ones that always seemed to be judging me, comparing me to Rachel. Kate, she started, her voice quieter than usual. I know things have been difficult between you and Rachel lately, but you need to understand that she's struggling. This isn't just about you or your job. She's going through a lot. I felt my patience slipping. Mom, I don't care what she's going through. She's always gone through something. But that doesn't give her the right to destroy my life. I'm done being the person she calls when things go wrong. Mom looked at me with a mixture of disappointment and concern. You don't know how much she's sacrificed for you over the years. She's always been there for you, even when you didn't appreciate it. No, I said, my voice shaking with frustration. She's never been there for me. And I'm tired of being expected to fix her messes. There was silence for a long moment. Then, finally, Mom spoke. I'm sorry, Kate. I don't want to choose sides, but Rachel is my daughter. She needs me right now. I swallowed the lump in my throat. And I need you too, Mom. But you've never been there for me like you've been for her. Mom, the weight of the situation settled deeper within me. The disappointment in her eyes still stung, but it didn't hold the same power over me it once did. Rachel's threats were no longer just words, they were a direct attack on everything I had worked for. But now, I was ready to stand up. Not just for myself, but for the life I had built. The following days were a blur of phone calls, legal meetings, and constant back and forth with Rachel. She had become more aggressive, sending messages that alternated between guilt-tripping and outright demands. One night, just as I was finishing up a call with my lawyer, I received a long text from Rachel. You've made your decision, Kate. You're cutting me off, aren't you? I'll make sure you regret this. You'll never hear the end of it. It wasn't just a threat. It was an ultimatum. I could already feel the familiar knot of anxiety tightening in my chest, but this time, I didn't back down. I responded calmly, though every word felt like it took a weight off my shoulders. I'm done, Rachel. You can't control me anymore. I'm not the person you can just manipulate and walk all over. I've got a life now, and I'm going to live it on my terms. I put my phone down, hoping the message would get through to her. The next few days, I barely heard from her, until one evening when she showed up at my door. My heart sank as I saw her standing there, with that familiar cold expression on her face. She had come in person, perhaps to finish what her texts had started. Kate, she began, her tone sharp, you really think you can just walk away from everything we've built? This family? You think you're better than us? I crossed my arms, standing my ground. No, Rachel. I don't think I'm better than you. I just think I deserve to live my life without constantly being your punching bag. Her eyes narrowed. You think you can just do this and get away with it? I'll make sure you lose everything, Kate. You have no idea how far I'll go. I took a deep breath, fighting to keep my emotions in check. You've already gone too far, Rachel. And I'm done. You can't control me anymore. I've let you do this my whole life, but not anymore. She sneered. You'll regret this, Kate. I swear. I'm not afraid of you anymore. Rachel paused, as if trying to process what I had said. You always were the weak one. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you really are. She turned and walked away without another word, her footsteps echoing down the hall. I stood there, staring at the door where she had just left. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of what Rachel could do to me. The fear that had followed me all these years had started to slip away, replaced with something stronger, resolve. But as the evening wore on, I found myself thinking about my decision. Had I done the right thing? Had I truly cut ties with Rachel, or was I just letting my emotions dictate my actions? I sat down on my couch, the weight of it all sinking in. My sister was no longer a part of my life, and it felt freeing. But it also felt lonely. My family had been the center of my world for so long, and now I was standing on my own. I didn't know if I was ready for that. I reached for my phone, contemplating whether or not I should reach out to Maya for advice. But before I could dial her number, I saw a notification pop up on my screen. It was an email from work. I opened it with trembling hands, my eyes scanning the words. It was from HR. We've received a report regarding your mental health and job performance. Please come to the office tomorrow for a meeting. My heart dropped. Rachel had already started her campaign. She was moving fast, and I wasn't ready for this. I couldn't let her destroy everything I had worked for. The next morning, I walked into work with a heavy heart. The office felt suffocating, and my stomach churned with every step I took. I had tried to prepare for this, but nothing could have prepared me for what was about to happen. As I entered the HR office, I was greeted by two familiar faces, my supervisor and one of the senior managers. They motioned for me to sit, and the moment I did, they both fixed me with their concerned expressions. Kate, my supervisor began, we've been contacted by someone in your family about some health concerns. We just want to make sure everything is okay. I fought to keep my voice steady. Everything's fine, I said, my tone firm. I don't know who reached out to you, but there's nothing wrong with my health. There are no concerns here. The senior manager leaned forward, looking at me intently. We understand that there might be personal issues affecting your work. We want to ensure that you're able to perform your duties to the best of your ability, Kate. But if there's something going on, we need to know. I took a deep breath. Rachel had already taken the first step. But I wasn't going to let her destroy me. I've been under a lot of stress recently, but I'm handling it. I don't know why my family would say otherwise. But I assure you, there's no reason to be concerned. They exchanged glances, and for a moment, I thought they might push further. But then my supervisor nodded, all right, Kate. We'll take you at your word. But if you ever need any support, you know where to find us. I left the office feeling a mix of relief and unease. It had gone better than I expected, but I knew Rachel wasn't done yet. The battle wasn't over. Not by a long shot. That evening, I sat down with Maya once again. We met at the same cafe where we had talked before, and I filled her in on the HR meeting. They didn't fire you? Maya asked, incredulously. No, I replied, shaking my head. But they're definitely watching me now. I don't know what to expect next. Maya was quiet for a moment, processing the situation. Listen, you're doing the right thing. Rachel can't control you anymore. But you need to be ready for whatever she throws your way. And don't forget, you have me on your side. I'm here for you. Always. I smiled, grateful for her unwavering support. Thanks, Maya. I don't know what I'd do without you. She grinned back. We'll figure this out, Kate. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't let her win. The next few days passed in a blur. Rachel continued to send messages, always trying to break me down. But I had reached a point where I wasn't afraid anymore. Then, one morning, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from an unknown number, and when I answered, I was met with a voice I recognized immediately. Rachel's. I'm not done with you, Kate, she sneered, her tone venomous. I'm going to make sure you lose everything. Your job, your friends, your life, and you'll never see it coming. I hung up before she could say another word. I didn't sleep well that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I could hear Rachel's voice, that venomous threat echoing in my ears. Your job, your friends, your life. Her words cut deep, but I wasn't going to let her control me anymore. I had to believe that I was strong enough to fight back. The next morning, I woke up feeling exhausted but determined. I knew what I had to do next. Rachel had already contacted HR. I couldn't just sit idly by and wait for her to destroy everything I had worked so hard for. I had to prepare for whatever came next. I grabbed my phone, opened my calendar, and scheduled a meeting with my lawyer. It was time to put my plan into action. I wasn't going to wait for Rachel to make the next move. This time, I would be the one controlling the situation. That afternoon, while I was working from home, I heard a knock at my door. I stood up from my desk, my heart pounding in my chest. No one ever came by unannounced. When I peered through the peephole, my stomach dropped. There, standing at my front door, was none other than my mother. I opened the door slowly, unsure of what to expect. Her expression was unreadable as she stepped inside without a word. "What do you want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, but my irritation was clear. "I think we need to talk," she said quietly, her voice tinged with a kind of forced calmness that made me even more suspicious. "Talk? About what?" I asked, folding my arms over my chest. I was already tired of the drama. "You've been making a big mistake, Kate," she said, her eyes softening just slightly. "Rachel, she's your sister. You've always been close. And I know you're angry right now, but this isn't how things should be." I felt a rush of frustration course through me. "You can't seriously be taking her side in all of this. She's been manipulating me for years, Mom. And now, she's threatening my job. How is that okay?" Mom's face hardened at the mention of Rachel's name. She had always defended Rachel, even when she was in the wrong. "I'm not taking anyone's side," she said, her voice rising slightly. "I just think you need to understand that family is all we have. If you cut Rachel off, then what's left? You'll be alone." I shook my head. "I'm not alone, Mom. I have my job, my friends, my life. Rachel has always treated me like crap, and you've never stepped in to stop her. You've always made excuses for her." "Kate, you don't know what she's been through," my mom replied, her voice softening again. "She's had a hard time. You don't see it. You've always been so focused on your own life that you didn't notice how much she needed you." I stared at her in disbelief. "You're still blaming me for this? You're still trying to make me feel guilty? She's the one who's always manipulated me. She's the one who's taken advantage of me, and you've always let her." "I'm done, Mom. I can't keep doing this." My mom's eyes filled with tears, but I couldn't bring myself to feel sorry for her. She had never protected me when I needed it most. "I can't keep doing this," I repeated, my voice shaking. "I have to stand up for myself, Mom.
Didn't say anything else.
I can't let her control me. Just looked at me for a long time before turning and walking out of my apartment. I closed the door behind her, feeling like I had just lost something precious, something I wasn't sure I could ever get back. The following week, I kept my distance from everyone in my family. I focused on my work and made sure that I was prepared for whatever came next. I had secured my job, filed the necessary paperwork, and documented everything Rachel had done. Then, one evening, I received another call from Rachel. This time, I didn't hesitate. I picked up immediately, no longer feeling the dread I once did when her name appeared on my screen. "Kate," she said, her voice trembling with barely contained rage, "you've really done it this time. I'm not going to let you get away with this." I leaned back in my chair, steadying myself. "What are you going to do, Rachel? Threaten me again?" "Don't push me," she warned, but there was no conviction in her voice. "You'll regret this, I swear." "Is that all you've got? More empty threats?" I shot back. "You've been trying to break me for years, but I'm not the same person anymore. I'm not your pawn, Rachel." The silence on the other end was deafening. Then she spoke again, this time much quieter, almost defeated. "Why are you doing this to me?" she whispered. "You're the one who's always been so strong. I thought you'd be there for me. But now you're just gone. You've turned your back on me." I let out a deep breath. "You never needed me, Rachel. You've always used me. And now it's time for me to take care of myself. I've spent my whole life trying to please you, trying to make you happy, but nothing I do is ever enough." "You're wrong," she said, her voice breaking. "I needed you, Kate. You've always been the only one who understood me. You were the only one who cared." "I did care, Rachel," I said, my voice quieter now. "But not anymore. I'm done being your scapegoat. I'm done being your punching bag. I need to be free of you." There was a long pause, then she finally spoke, her voice barely audible. "Goodbye, Kate." And then, the line went dead. After the call ended, I sat there in silence, my heart pounding in my chest. The finality of it all settled over me. For the first time in my life, I had stood up to Rachel, to my family. I had taken control of my own life, and no one was going to take that away from me. I thought about the last 2 years, the pain, the manipulation, the endless cycle of trying to please everyone. I thought about how I had finally broken free. I had made the decision to stand up for myself, and though it wasn't easy, it felt like the first step towards something better. A few days later, I received an unexpected call from my lawyer. "We've received an update on the case," she said. "It looks like your sister's campaign to have you fired has backfired. We've gathered enough evidence, and we're moving forward with a lawsuit for defamation and emotional distress. This might be your chance to finally end this for good." I sat up straighter, my heart racing. Was this really happening? Could I finally put an end to everything Rachel had done to me? The weight of it all was starting to sink in, and for the first time in years, I felt a sense of hope that I hadn't felt before. The case took months to move through the courts. But eventually, with the evidence I had gathered and the support of Maya and my lawyer, I won. Rachel's lies were exposed, and I was free from the chaos she had caused in my life. When it was over, I stood in the courtroom, feeling a sense of closure I never thought I'd have. Rachel had tried to destroy everything I had worked for. But I had fought back, and I had won. Months later, life felt different. I was still adjusting to the changes, but the freedom I now felt was indescribable. I had reconnected with old friends, and my career was thriving. My relationship with my family was still strained, but I was okay with that. I had learned the most important lesson of all. I came first. I looked out the window of my apartment, watching the sun set on a new chapter of my life. It wasn't easy. It wasn't perfect. But it was mine.